Good evening. Welcome back to inthekhud. This is November 8th, 2022, 6:59 p.m. So I'm pretty late today. And I am also in kind of a fix, so I have to wrap this session up within 5 minutes. It's kind of like recently I've gotten fortunate enough to actually study the verses of Bhagavad Gita. You see there's a toggle here, Bhagavad Gita verses explanation by Swami Sarvapriyananda on Vedanta Society of New York Archives channel. It's not on the main channel, I don't know why, but on the Archives channel. And in the second chapter, 11th verse or 10th verse, initial verses where Sri Krishna actually begins his teaching towards Arjuna. Swami Sarvapriyananda points out that Swami Vivekananda made a remark that every single image of Krishna and Arjuna that you see, the environment is a complete disaster, right? Though two armies are standing next to each other, there's war happening, there's so much going on, and amidst all of that, image of Krishna is always with a smile on his face, is like deep calmness and serenity and quietude in the middle of intense activity. And of course, the work that I do throughout the day is nowhere near the Mahabharata war and having to fight against the Kauravas or something like that. But I feel every part of this epic Mahabharata can be taken and condensed into how your life pans out. So for me, dealing with like last minute videos to work on, or somebody just takes a leave randomly and then I have to figure out what has to be done with the work that was on their plate, it kind of, not to the same intensity, but somehow matches up. So the fix that I'm in right now is I have to make the changes for the Tata AIG video, which has been pending since ever, but I have to do that and give it by EOD today. Today is Guru Nanak Jayanti, so we're supposed to go to the Gurdwara as well. That's part 2 of the situation. Part 3 is, of course, I have to go to the gym. I'm not taking that out of the equation. What I'm trying to factor in is editing this particular vlog and making those changes for Tata AIG. That shouldn't take more than half an hour, but let's see how it works. The title of this particular video is I do not understand geometry nodes. And it's a very important aspect of learning anything. Like right now in this part of my documentation, I want to make sure that I do put this out, that I do not understand things. And this is kind of an oversimplification because there are a lot of things that I do understand. I've done a complete beginner's course. I understand how to move around in geometry nodes. Like I understand how to make organization happen. I understand a lot of things. But only when somebody's teaching something, then I can follow it and then that works. But the moment it comes to, okay, I have to use all of what I know and make something that is in my mind, which I'm seeing through a reference or anything, that's where things just start to fall apart. So today, if I just go from the beginning a little bate, where just notion just disappear. Okay, woke up at 6. It's just a pain to get out of bed. Couldn't get out of bed. I would much rather kill myself. That's been a trend of late. I took Snowy down. CG Matter Blender bread. So the moment you open YouTube, you have a CG Matter default cube tutorial. It's just so tempting to watch that video, and I didn't want to stop at just watching it because he was making bread, and bread is one of the products at the agency that I work for. So I thought it'd be nice to have like a bread kind of animation. So I did end up making this. This is a completely procedural made bread, and the next part is just stacking up using instances and then covering it with a plastic kind of thing. So that was one nice thing. But then later I transitioned to trying to do something with Okay, coming back to why I feel like I do not know geometry nodes. My aim is very simple here. You see this particular thing that's moving. I'm gonna basically have constant movement for every single point on this particular path, which is being determined by the count. That's your resolution here. So I do increase the resolution, you see the points increase. But the real problem that I face here is this thing, random value, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly make this whole setup once again, just for you to like understand where I am stuck. Future me will be watching this video and be like, this is the simplest thing to figure out. Right now I have no idea. I went through a bunch of Reddit stuff and everything. I cannot figure this out. Delete all of this. Okay, I need an instance on point. So instance on points. We get the points from your path, which is here. So geometry into points, and this collection has cube and cone goes into instance, and then this goes into your geometry. So I have this kind of weird thing, and I also want to make sure that I have a join geometry so that I can see the original mesh as well, original path. I'm just going to take this and make it 0.1. So it's smaller, maybe 0.3. Okay. Of course, now nothing is happening. Now over here, the next step is obviously I'm gonna pick instance so that the collection is instanced. Now I want to have movement along this spline, right? It's actually pretty simple. You use something called as instance index for that. By default, this is the same as having index here. but we want to be moving the index of every single thing here one index ahead through the path, right? So what I can do is firstly resample this curve, shift A, curve, resample curve. I'm going to take it to, let's say, 40. So now we have 40 of these instances here. The way you move this is actually pretty simple. You take index, this is the same as having index here. You want to take I can't find it, so scene time, right? And you want to basically add these two. So utilities, math, I'm going to take frames and put it here. This I'm going to put it here, and this I'm going to put into instance index, not this. So now you'll see that this is the weird kind of thing which happens. First of all, at least we have some sort of motion happening. Like over time, we are adding the index 11111 as we're going ahead. Like it's a 30 FPS timeline, so that's how the position is changing. What was taught in the beginners courses, we have to mess with the selection here. So you come in here and say random value. So it does this, and then you bring the probability down. It's still doing that thing. So what we want to do is we're going to take this and add this into your ID. So now we have this kind of thing happening. And of course we can maybe slow this down. So I just take this and make it multiply it by 0.1. Okay, no, so a little more. Weirdly it's kind of jittery. Now so that you control through your resample curve. So the more points you have here, the slower it will be, yes. Right, this is something that is taught in that course and I can just verbatim do it. My problem here is I don't want to have this kind of a random thing, right? You see there are things overlapping, and I just want to have every single vertex have an instance and just move like it should move here. If you watch this thing that I've been trying to waffle, I basically want to just have them moving along, and I want to be using geometry nodes because this is a whole structure, right? The count coming in from here is the count going in here, and then that's count being reflected here in text. I just want to do this, that's all. But what I am ending up is with this. So I of course know how to make it loopable, right? So that's what this thing is. So you're going to take this and plug it into your count, and then over here in the end we're just gonna, oh god, we're gonna add a modulo. Where is modulo? And then this value goes into the modulo. Now you'll see that after 200 frames there'll be no glitch. It will just, okay, well, it is glitching. I don't know. This count is going in here, that's also going in here. Proof, I don't know geometry nodes. So this is where I'm stuck. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what the selection should be. So I tried doing a thing where, because of course random value is not helping. So what I tried doing is, let's say I have input index, okay. I move it through a modulo, and every time you do modulo by 2, that means it's an even number, right? So an even number selection into, let's say, a compare node of equal to. So every time index modulo 2 equals to 0, I want this to be my selection. I was trying to do this. You see, something is happening, but not what I want. So here's where I'm stuck. Now I'm gonna stop recording this session and get back to figuring out the fix I'm in, because it's one thing to be like, oh, I have to be calm and compose everything. It's one thing to actually figure things out that are coming my way. So I'm gonna do that now. Thanks so much for being in the khud. I know, pretty rushed episode, but that's how life is. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.